Alex Hormozi is one of the most successful businessmen of our time, and he's exited multiple businesses for over 8 figures. And part of the reason he got there is because of his conversion rates on his landing pages and websites. As someone who's built over 400 landing pages in over 80 niches, I was naturally curious to see what he had to say when it comes to building landing pages. Throughout this video, we'll listen to what Alex has to say about building landing pages, and then we'll see how can we apply that knowledge in order to make ones that convert.
What I want to give you today is one very, very simple hack that we've used to consistently improve our marketing. Neil Patel said in one of his keynote speeches that he believes that the future of marketing is going to exist in CRO, so conversion rate optimization. And he said that because, the prices are going to only consistently go up. Most platforms are based on an auction, which means that it's just multiple businesses competing for the same eyeballs. And so the people who are better able to convert those eyeballs are going to be the ones who are going to be able to outcompete and win.
To help you really grasp the significance of what Alex is trying to say here, the cost of virtually every ad platform has skyrocketed over the last several years. And as Alex said, the cost just continues to increase year over year. Meta ad costs have increased 61% year over year. TikTok has increased by a whopping 185%. Google saw CPMs increase by 75%, while search ad cost per clicks were up by 14%. So when Alex says that the future of marketing is conversion rate optimization, I couldn't agree more, and I can't stress how important it is to understand this. Long gone are the days where you can just throw up a landing page on Meta or Google Ads and just expect it to generate you leads. This is literally what I encounter on a daily basis. I'll get companies come to us all the time complaining about low conversion rates on their website or landing pages, and when I go and take a look, I can immediately identify the reason why, and it's because their landing pages or websites are not fundamentally optimized for conversions in the first place. So they're spending all this money and they're burning cash and sending money down the drain. Everyone loves to obsess over getting traffic, but never conversions. And as Alex mentioned, the companies that are able to outcompete and win in the marketplace are the ones that are able to better convert the same traffic than their competitors. I always like to say to people, you have 2 different ways of doubling your revenue. The first way is you can double your traffic, or the second way is you can double your conversion rate. And I will take doubling your conversion rate any day of the week, because when you double your conversion rate and you drive more traffic to that same landing page, your revenue and ROI that you generate is also amplified. And I'm talking from experience when I say this. We've helped clients like this literally double their conversion rate just through conversion optimization alone.
Every week, what we do is we have our marketing meeting and we do one split test, just one. And that's because everyone wants to test 100 things. But what it does is it forces us to be very, very focused on the one thing that we think is going to drive the highest result for us.
This is the biggest thing that I feel holds a lot of brands back from doing more conversion optimization. And it's that there's so many different things they want to test and they just don't know where to start. As Alex suggests, just make it simple. Just focus on a couple things at a time and just focus in getting in the habit of testing and becoming consistent in the first place. One thing to note that's not mentioned is the frequency of testing. Being able to do one split test a week will very much depend on your traffic levels. Presumably, someone like Alex is probably generating tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of visitors to his website and landing pages every single month. So he actually has sufficient traffic levels to constitute one A/B test per week. But if you have less than 1,000 visitors a week, you realistically cannot do one test per week because you won't get statistically significant results. What we do at our agency is we use an A/B testing calculator. There's a ton online. I'll put one in the description, but this will basically help you determine how long should you run your A/B test and how many A/B tests can you realistically run based on your traffic and conversion levels at the time. You also don't have to do testing via the form of an A/B test. For our lower traffic clients, like let's say 10 to 20,000 visitors a month, what we'll often do is we'll make changes based on objective data that we collect in Microsoft Clarity and then measure what happens over time. But it's not in the traditional form of an A/B test where we're splitting traffic 50-50. But the basic premise that Alex is saying of staying consistent with your testing is super important.
The thing is that when you do this every single week for 52 weeks in a row and you do that for 5 years, your process just gets better and better and better. Those increases in conversion compound.
What Alex is basically saying here is that as you start running A/B tests, you'll quickly start to pick up data on winning tests and losing tests. And the beautiful thing about this is that no matter what the result is, you can take those data points and those results and basically create a snowball effect where your results really start to compound over time. For example, for one of our e-commerce clients, they received a lot of objections around the price of their product. It wasn't necessarily that the product was expensive, but it was just expensive relative to other competitors in the market. What we ended up doing was we moved the price of the product down on the product page, and we put a bunch of trust building elements above the price of the product. And so the first test that we ran netted a 32% increase in the conversion rate. Then we thought, how could we double down on this winning test? And so we added more trust building elements before the price. And that single hypothesis netted us a cumulative 88% increase in the conversion rate. So it's massive increases in conversions once you find one winning idea or one winning hypothesis.
I'll give you the two biggest things that we look at. The first thing, it sounds obvious and simple, but people don't do it, is we simply split test the headlines on our landing pages. That's it. The next thing that we'll split test is going to be the image that is underneath of the headline. Because what we've seen from the vast majority of all of the tests that we've done is that almost all of the juice that's going to come, the biggest jumps in conversion rate, happen above the fold.
Testing the above the fold has historically gotten us the best ROI as well. And we've seen conversion increases by upwards of 130% by testing the above the fold. And we've seen this across both our B2B clients and our e-commerce clients as well. The above the fold is the topmost area of any page. It's the first thing that people will see. And there's two things that you need to understand when it comes to the above the fold. The first thing is that the above the fold is the only section on any page that you can guarantee with certainty that 100% of people will see. The second thing is that statistically, 60% of people will never scroll past the above the fold section. That is why, as Alex suggests, the above the fold is the most critical area to test, and it's where most people should be spending 99% of their efforts optimizing in the beginning stages. So he mentions testing the headline, but you may be wondering, what actually do I test? The first thing I would ask yourself is, does your headline clearly articulate who you are, what you do, and what's in it for me? And that last part is the most important. Does your headline clearly articulate what is that benefit and core differentiator of your product and service? How does your product or service actually benefit me in my day-to-day life? Does it save me time? Does it save me money? That needs to be clearly articulated in 5 seconds or less. Only when you nail that down, you can then focus on testing different headline variations, which are going to basically be different variations of your value prop or different ways of saying the end benefit. We've seen conversion increases at our agency of upwards of 60 to 80% just by testing the headline on the above the fold section. The other thing he talks about is images. Your image should help to reinforce your core value prop, and it should also subtly convey and articulate who you are and what you do. A great practical example of this is an A/B test that we ran for Influence Hunter. They're an influencer marketing agency, and they create a lot of UGC on behalf of their clients in partnering with influencers. Before we ran an A/B test, their before version just had a boring image. They didn't really convey anything about their value prop, but what we identified was that they had a lot of content that they produced for their clients in collaboration with influencers. So we took all that content and we put it into this creative collage or carousel to reinforce their value prop of creating social proof at scale. Just from that image test alone, we saw a 78% increase in the conversion rate.
3 CRO improvements, and this was the largest company we have in the portfolio. So we got a plus 20% CRO test improvement, which is a monster win. We got a 50% lift, and then we got a 28% lift. So we had 3 mega wins. How valuable is that to the company? Tremendously valuable, because things that are efficiency improvements typically are long lasting. What's cool about that is that when you have an efficiency improvement, it means your LTV to CAC ratio expands, which allows you to spend more money in advertising, more money in talent acquisition, all the way around the business. It literally just makes the business stronger and is a competitive moat.
I love this by Alex. A lot of people will look at CRO one-dimensionally, and they'll just look at it from a short-term lens perspective that, oh, if I increase my conversion rate, I can then extract more value out of my marketing. That is literally just one out of the many benefits when it comes to testing on your landing page. As Alex mentioned, CRO is the one lever that can affect all aspects of your business. What you have to realize is that when you're doing CRO, you're actually collecting data on what tests win and what tests lose. And you're quite literally testing what is resonating with your audience and what isn't resonating. The biggest thing it helps with, which is often overlooked, is the data collection portion. When you do CRO and you see tests that win win or lose, you're quite literally collecting data on what resonates with your audience and what doesn't. The beautiful thing about that is that that insight from your winning test is literally transferable to all other aspects of your business. You can start injecting that into your advertising material, your value proposition, the UX of your product, coming up with new features or ideas. It's transferable everywhere. And on the flip side, if you have data on test at lost, you can then stray away from using that in your marketing efforts. The best example I can give is Influence Hunter. We took that same concept of the carousel image and we actually applied it to their ads. And we saw a massive increase in the click-through rate of their ads.
The value equation has 4 components, and I'm not going to go super deep on it, but I'll just walk you through it real quick. So you've got the dream outcome, which is what's the big thing that people want? So in this instance, it'd be they want to make more money in their gym. They might want to lose weight. They might want to fix their relationship. They might want to look cool in front of their friends. The next is the perceived likelihood of achievement, or the equal opposite of that is risk. How likely is it that when I buy this thing, I get what I want? Which when he asked the question, well, how likely is it? This is what he's teasing out.
Alex Hormozi's value equation is directly correlated with landing page optimization. When we look at the first 2 items here, the first thing is the dream outcome. What is that dream end state or dream goal that your target audience really wants to achieve? That dream outcome needs to be immediately articulated in your headline and your sub-headline above the fold. Do they want to save time? Do they want to make more money? Do they want to close more deals? Whatever it is, it needs to be immediately articulated. And we will go through some examples soon. The next part is reducing the perceived risk. Do you have case studies and testimonials to back up what you're saying? Do you have a free trial, or maybe you have no credit card required if you're a B2B or SaaS company? Or maybe you have a return policy if you're an e-commerce firm. Whatever it is, you need to reduce that perceived risk for your customers.
The next question is time. How long is it going to take between when I start and when I get? And the longer that is, the less valuable the thing is. And then you have effort and sacrifice, which is how hard am I going to have to try? What am I going to have to start doing that I don't want to do, or stop doing that I do want to do? In a hypothetical example, you'd want something that would be immediate, be no effort, it would be guaranteed, and it would be exactly what they want the way they want it.
People will read the copy on your landing page and be thinking, how long will it take me to actually achieve that result? You need to quantify the result as much as possible and really help articulate how long it's going to take somebody to achieve that result. The effort and sacrifice component is communicating through your copy and your design. How much effort is it going to take somebody to achieve their dream outcome? We'll go through some actionable examples very shortly, so just keep watching.
So let's say I sell tables. How can we position our thing separately from other people? Now, if the dream outcome for that table is not, okay, I just need to have something that I can put stuff on top of, the dream outcome might be when people walk into my home, they feel immediately impressed. So now we're actually relating this to status, because B2B is actually pretty easy. It's just, this is how much money it is. And then the rest of your time is trying to make it easier for them, less risky and faster. Business to consumer, sometimes you need to spend a little bit more time on translating what this status increase might mean for them and how meaningful that is, or the reverse, how terrible and painful it's been to lack this status.
Let's start with some examples of the dream outcome and what Alex is referring to as status, which is effectively positioning your product or service as valuable. And so starting with B2B, we want to think about what is it that my target audience actually desires. So the first example here is Inboxy. This is a client that we worked with, and they are basically an email deliverability and warm-up tool. On their landing page here, you can see they have email deliverability and warm-up tool. That is explaining the who you are, what you do. The headline needs to clearly articulate the what is in it for me. The way that I like to think of it is using the so that principle. You're warming up your emails so that you can land more emails in the inbox, so that you can close more deals, so that you can generate more revenue. Just using that so that principle basically helps you get to the deeper why and the deeper benefit. And that is what that end goal is ultimately for your target audience. In the body text here, it's helping to reinforce that core value prop. The only inbox warm-up solution that utilizes a private network of headless browsers. And this is the perceived likelihood of achieving that dream outcome. It says to truly guarantee you better deliverability. On the e-commerce side, this is an example here, Obvi, which is a weight loss product right at the very top of the site, lose 30 pounds in 90 days. They're highlighting both the time aspect in 90 days and they're quantifying quantifying it. Lose 30 pounds. That is that dream outcome I care about, which is losing weight.
So if we have this big, expensive, nice table, then we say, okay, here's the status. Now, the risk of this not happening, this is where we might show trends of this being a hot thing that many people understand the value of. So the risk of them not getting the status is lowered.
This is an example of a landing page that we've done for our client Scrubby. Right underneath that CTA button, we have free trial, fast setup, easy cancellation, and it integrates with all these APIs. So we're completely de-risking the proposition of their software product. On the e-commerce side, we did this for our client Parcel Safety, where we added in these badges underneath the add to cart button. So we have free 30-day return, 100% money back guarantee, 1-year warranty, and free US shipping. All of the uncertainty that I have around buying the product is addressed up front. Again, it's de-risking the whole proposition of buying this product in the first place. We actually ran this as an A/B test, so they didn't even have these badges to begin with, and we saw a 30% lift in conversions just from that A/B test alone.
The time is like, hey, I can have this at your house by the end of today. That would be something that's like, wow, this could happen right in time for this dinner party I have, or my boss is coming to my house.
So now moving over to the time principle, we want to reduce the time from what we think something will take to get to that end result. So for Inboxy, we're actually highlighting this in their copy. And I see very few companies actually do this properly, which is quantifying it and basically closing that gap and telling people how quickly can you expect to receive results. Another great way of doing this is that you don't only have to do this in the copy, you can actually do this when it comes to the design of the landing page as well. Riden is a mortgage lending company that we worked with, and on their landing page, look at the CTA button here, get funded fast, because that is a big pain point of their target audience, which is getting fast funding. So again, we're highlighting the time aspect here and we're saying get funded fast, just subconsciously highlighting the time aspect and reducing the time gap between how long is it going to take for me to achieve my desired result or desired outcome. On the e-commerce side, it's pretty easy to do this. You just want to highlight the shipping policy. Over here, you can see underneath the add to cart for Prepared Hero, they have guaranteed secure checkout, and they also have ships in 24 hours.
And then effort and sacrifices, don't worry, we have a white glove service that will make sure that we can fit it into your doorways, even though it's this massive thing, and we will assemble it there for you. You just need to say yes right now, and it will be there by the end of the night, and you can have dinner on it when you have your guests tomorrow. Now we've tied them buying to all of the value components to getting them to then be willing to spend $20,000, because it's not about the wood, it's not about the table, it's about how much status is worth to them within this context.
So when you're thinking about reducing the effort and sacrifice, the best way to do this is through your copy on your landing page. We did this landing page for Influence Hunter, and on their landing page, we have over here, we reach out to thousands of influencers so that you don't have to. That headline is super impactful as far as reducing the perceived effort and sacrifice that is required to basically work with Influence Hunter. There's this common pain point when we were interviewing users for Influence Hunter's website and we were doing user research. People expressed a lot of frustration around having to manually reach out to tons of influencers to basically get their products in the hands of these influencers to then post. Hormozi's advice is definitely strong, but now that you have his advice in mind and you understand it on a theoretical level, you need to actually apply the information. And it's hard to do that without a step-by-step guide on setting up a landing page. Click here to go to the next video where I show you the 4 proven steps that I use to consistently build $1 million landing pages over and over again, so that you can take those and combine them from what Alex Hormozi's advice on those are and make your own killer landing page that'll make you millions. See you in the next one.